Great, thank you. Tonight is Thursday, April 23rd. This is our Board of Directors special meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Ms. Pania, could you please call the roll?
Good evening, everyone. Director Gould.
Here.
Orzal.
Here.
Wood.
Here.
Kelly.
Present.
Sailors.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Jones.
Might be muted.
Jones, can you let us know if you're present and if your microphone's working okay one more time?
Here, thank you.
Wonderful. We know Director Sheets is here. Chief Harms, looks like you're with us. Can you let us know you're present?
Present.
And General Counsel Lavra. General Counsel Lavra, one more time, can you let us know that you're here and that your audio is working okay?
Hey, Melissa, do you want me to unmute him?
Yeah, let's unmute him and see if he's...
Hey, John, can you say something that the mic's working?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I have no video, but everything just shut off on my computer and went back to the beginning page. So I can't see anything. I'll be quiet and just leave me unmuted.
Okay. Okay. Everyone is accounted for. Thank you, President Bates.
All right, moving on to Metro Cable announcement. The open session meeting is videotaped for cable on Metro Cable 14. Replay on Monday, April 27th at 6 p.m. and Wednesday, April 29th at 2 p.m. on Channel 14. Webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. This is the public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
All right, I have not had anyone request to publicly comment this evening. However, Art, can you take a moment and give the callers a chance if
Yes.
they'd like to speak?
Yep, let me start unmuting the callers.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, callers, you're unmuted. If you'd like to say anything, that would be a good time.
Okay, not hearing any public comment. Move to the next item.
All right, moving on to the consent items. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, I'll move the consent.
Second.
Great, we have a first and a second. Can you please call the roll?
Director Gould.
Yes.
Orzali.
Yes.
Wood.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Sailors.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
And Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great, moving on to the action item. I just want to remind everyone, we're going to take action on items 1 and 2, and then convene a closed session before taking item number 3. First action item is a fire chief employment agreement, and General Lavra will be making the presentation for action.
John Lavra, General Counsel. Chief Harms' written employment contract was executed in 2016. At the time he was originally and initially appointed by the Board of Directors. Before the board tonight is consideration of a change in some of the terms and conditions of the contract. the contract that is before you contains the exact same language of the original contract that was entered into in 2016. The additions or changes to the contract are the changes to the original language and some of the terms. Everything else not specified as a change is the language from the original contract. The changes as set forth in the staff report reflect an adjustment of the annual base compensation of the fire chief at 4.3% commencing on May 1st, 2020. There is also a change in the monthly accrual of sick leave time. This was done to render the chief's contract consistent with the sick leave accruals that were negotiated as part of the labor MOU that was negotiated with Local 522 in 2019. There's also a change to reflect the chief's current official vehicle. And then there was an elimination from the original contract of certain terms that had to do with his initial hire, which included the terms that relate to Chief Harms initially being employed as a deputy chief, working with then Fire Chief Mark Wells. Allowing a credit to his sick leave at the beginning of his employment, payment of moving and relocation expenses. And there's one other term that I didn't identify, and that was in the holidays, deletion of Columbus days and added Christmas Eve, also to be consistent of the MOU, labor MOU that was negotiated in 2019. So those are the changes, the proposed changes to the fire chief's contract, and I can try to answer any questions that any of the board members may have.
Are there any questions from the board?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I feel that we're living in a situation right now like no other. I certainly have never lived in my 61 years, seen or lived through anything like what we are experiencing right now with this pandemic. I don't have a crystal ball or a psychic on speed dial, but my gut is telling me that now is the time to tighten our belts. I sense our economy may take a long time to recover from the hit it is taking while the world is on pause. Metro Fire has a saying I have heard many, many times, and it is service before self. Well, if I were the chief, I would put all negotiations for my MOU on pause while the world is on pause during this pandemic. And once things settle down, revisit my MOU. Well, I'm not the chief. I'm sitting here in a director's seat. So the only thing I can do is vote on this item that has been placed in front of me tonight. Thank you, President Chief.
Are there any questions or other comments?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adopt.
I'll second.
Great, we have a first, can you call the roll?
Director Gould,
Aye.
Borzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Sailors,
No.
Clark,
Aye.
Jones,
I with a comment, I couldn't get on sooner. Let me know when that's appropriate.
Let me finish calling roll. Director Sheets,
Aye.
and motion passes. Director Sheets, I'll turn it back over to you.
Director Jones, you have a comment?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I agree with the general idea and policy and concern that Director Sailors has discussed. However, in my heart of heart, it is not appropriate to put a full burden on a singular classification. I look forward to all of us working together as a district with input from every member on how to address potential future issues and challenges that we have as a district. It will impact the district as a whole, and we need to respond to it as a whole district. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to action item number 2, COVID-19 related hardship leave policy, Deputy Chief Casentini.
Thank you, Board President. Good evening, Board of Directors and Chief Harms. Greg Casentini, Deputy Fire Chief of Administration. Before you tonight is an important policy related to the COVID-19 pandemic. This policy was written by our attorneys from Liebert, Cassidy, and Whitmore and approved by the Fire Chief and Local 522. As you know, last board meeting, the board signed a resolution supporting the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, which requires the district to provide additional paid leave to professional staff, which are not our first responders. The fire chief recognizes that our first responders might also have hardships relating to the COVID-19 pandemic, such as finding childcare or need to care for a relative with a serious medical condition. The purpose of this policy allows the fire chief to use discretion to place employees on paid leave for circumstances directly relating to the COVID-19 health emergency. Paid leave under this policy shall not count against the employee's accrued paid leave, although the fire chief will take into account the amount of leave available in each employee's accruals. This policy is effective until December 21st, 2020, December 31st, 2020, unless further action is taken by the fire chief or the district. The number of related hardship leave hours is unknown. Therefore, the fiscal impact is unknown at this time. Staff recommends the Board of Directors approve the COVID-19 related hardship leave policy to provide the fire chief with discretion to place employees on paid leave related to the COVID-19 health emergency. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions.
Are there any questions from the board?
Only one. This is Randy Orzali.
Go ahead, Director Rosali.
When it says, obviously, how much this is going to be used is unknown, and I support the concept. Is there any sort of reference to what this might be? And is there any merit in discussing a not to exceed number?
Okay, Director, thank you. You have two questions. Do we have like a max number? The answer to that is no. It's really up to the fire chief's discretion. And could you please repeat your first part of your question, Director?
The second part of it was, is there any merit, and I guess this is really a question for the chief, does he have any concern about what the number might be, and is there any need for a not to exceed figure? That is, X number of dollars, and after which you'd have to come back to the board.
The biggest thing that we looked at was some initial members who did have some vacation and sick leave, but were concerned because one of the spouses was going to be deployed, and then the impact back onto them. It's just really hard to see. It does give me some leeway on this, but my conversations with labor really revolved around people that were in an extreme hardship before we would be able to take those actions. And it would be just for a very short period of time while we're able to work with them and being able to get them back to work. My expectation after looking at the initial CARES Act that had come out on the federal level, being very close with 522 and with the membership, there is not a lot of them there's not even one that has come forward yet where this would even be needed, but it does give me the opportunity when someone's having an extreme hardship to be able to do it. I would expect if we do have anybody that comes forward, it's going to be onesies and twosies, not hundreds of people at that time. So at this point, I would say no. One of the things that we could do is come back to the board monthly and have a report from the admin side of if there is any use and what that use looks like, not individuals, but at least we would be able to give you a dollar amount. And then if you needed to, the board could rescind it or change it if we have an idea then of what actually we're going to use.
Thank you, Chief. I think that's a great suggestion. I would support our doing that on a monthly basis.
Madam Chair, this is Kay. I have comment.
Go
Also,
ahead, Director Jones.
thank you. Chief, you took the words out of my mouth there. I was going to say, let's just set review dates for the board so that we see how this develops. But those review dates, if this goes sideways, we still need to retain the appropriate responsibility to distinguish some of these allotments. And I would be interested to see some of the parameters, the checkoff list for what would qualify for this. I am in favor of doing this. It's the right thing. Obviously, we're in the midst of the pandemic. We need to do this fairly rapidly. But an in-depth review every month would be good. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from the board?
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we adopt staff's recommendation.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a first and a second. Please call the roll.
Director Gould,
Aye.
Barzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
and Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, so we are going to convene to close session. And then we will come back and join this call.
All right, and for the directors, Director Gould,
Here.
Barzali,
Here.
Wood,
Present.
Kelly,
Here.
Sailors,
Present.
Clark,
Here.
Jones,
Present.
and Sheets.
Here.
All right, I'll turn it over to you, President Sheets.
All right, moving on to action item number 3, Board Director Vacancy for Division 9. I'm going to give an overview of the interview and appointment process. Candidates will have 3 minutes for an opening statement, followed by any board member questions specific to that statement or their letter of interest and resume. 2 candidates will be selected to move on to the question and answer phase. During this phase, each board member will ask candidate a minimum of 1 question. Questions may be exemptorious, sorry, I should have practiced that, and geared towards the candidate or from the question pool provided. When the question and answer phase is complete, the board will make a motion followed by a second. Roll will be called and the new board member will be appointed. Following this action, the new board member will be sworn in by Chief Harms. I will call each candidate. I will give them the opportunity for their opening statement. It'll be in alphabetical order and each will have 3 minutes. After the opening statement, there will be an opportunity for any clarifying questions for the board member and provide any additional information from the candidate statement or written material. I'd like to welcome Mr. Robert Allen.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to meet with you this evening. I'd like to go over a couple of things. I was made aware that all of you have received my cover letter and my resume. I have an interesting resume. I moved to the Sacramento area in 1996. My father was a highway patrolman. I went to Elk Grove High School. I graduated. I went to Cosumnes River College. I finished up at the University of Phoenix with a degree in business management. I worked as a school teacher for approximately 4 years. During that time, I was able to make a lot of connections in the community. I really enjoyed that profession. It meant a lot. I then moved on, and I have worked in the heavy equipment rental and sales business ever since. I am a small business owner here in Sacramento. We have been in business since 2006. We've worked on several projects in the area. Some of the most notable being the Fix 50 project, if you guys can remember that nightmare. We successfully pulled out of it. As of right now, we are doing the same type of project on the US 101 in San Francisco. So if you hear my phone ring, I apologize. It's been an active evening so far. And I also am a small business owner with a company called Wesa. I am Native American, I am Cherokee. And with that, there are some opportunities that are provided to us by the federal government. There are grants that are afforded to us as a minority-owned small business. So that pretty much sums up what I'm up to these days as far as my professional career. I'm at a certain point in my career now where I can give back to the community. I would like to be a role model to my son and to my family, and basically volunteer and do something good for the community, Sacramento as a whole. When this opportunity was made available, I was excited to jump on the opportunity. I met with Director Barnes. He went over a lot of what he does. I found it to be interesting. I won't be able to bring a lot of fire experience, but what I can bring to the community and all of you is a balanced, a level-headed approach. I'm very familiar with making decisions every day. If I make the wrong decision in our business, there are consequences. And I believe that with that experience, there's a great responsibility. There's an accountability to the community. And I would like to also bring transparency to the community as well, while also providing excellent service to the community. I believe as Director Jones, who mentioned earlier, the basic principles of being a fireman is service before self. And in this case, I would like to provide service before myself and bring my knowledge and my expertise to this board and to the community. And with that, I will end. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Are there any questions, clarifying questions or comments from any of the board members? All right, hearing none. Thank you, sir. I'd like to introduce Rabbi Matt Rosenberg.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. It's an honor to be here today. And I have a connection with Metro Fire going back to when I was 5 years old, and a unit from Station 62 in my old neighborhood in Rosemont came to my 5th birthday party, and I was forever enamored with the fire service. I moved into Station 59's first in area in elementary school and started getting involved in the fire service as a high school student, as an Explorer Scout with the Rio Linda, Alberta Fire Protection District, which became the American River Fire District. And about the time of the merger, I became president of the Explorer Scouts. I was also involved in high school as a volunteer with the Slough House Fire Protection District out of Station 59. And I would spend my weekends at the station as a high school volunteer. In an effort to enhance our training of our Explorer post, I became certified as a Red Cross CPR and first aid instructor and taught numerous classes in the community and was awarded the First Aid Instructor of the Year in 1992 from the Red Cross here in Sacramento. I also earned my EMT from Cosumnes River College during my senior year at Elk Grove High as well. Went to UC Davis to earned my degree in geography while volunteering extensively with the American Red Cross in the field of disaster relief, and ultimately ended up working for the Red Cross for a few years after undergrad in both Solano County and then Ventura County. And while working at the Red Cross, I learned a lot about government and public agency funding and grants, and worked collaboratively with emergency management and fire departments in Ventura County, even applying for joint federal grants with them. I earned my master's degree in hazards geography from Cal State Northridge, and my thesis analyzed the readiness of Ventura County entities for catastrophic hazards. I ultimately left the Red Cross to go to seminary in Los Angeles, and while there volunteered for 5 years on the LA Mayor's crisis response team, which supports fire, law enforcement, and the coroner at fatal incidents in the city, and I ended up being a volunteer supervisor for that organization. After being ordained, I was selected as the executive director of a nonprofit organization in Texas and learned about public agency budgeting, fiscal management, administration, and fundraising, as well as strategic planning. And in 2015, I was appointed to the board of a national disaster relief organization, NACAMA, and I was the president of the board who hired a new chief executive officer. I'm now on the executive committee as the immediate past president. And my term limits are ending my position on that board at the end of this year. So I'm looking for a new opportunity to serve my community and would be truly honored to serve in Sacramento. I returned home to California a couple years ago, and I've been back in Division 9 since early 2018. I currently serve the community as an independent rabbi, and I'm also a faculty member in geography at Cal State Northridge and Cosumnes River College. And I have a passion for the fire service that goes back to the Rio Linda and Slough House fire protection districts that are a major part of my life growing up. And I want to give back to the community using my talents and experience being a board member of as well as an executive director, knowing the role of governance for a board and administration for the executive. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions from the board members or any additional information that need to be provided? Thank you for your time. I'd now like to introduce Mr. Walt White.
Well, good evening, President Sheets, members of the board. First, thank you for your time and attention tonight. Before we begin, I do want to acknowledge Jim Barnes for his years of service to the board representing District 9. He represented the district well, and I really appreciate that. My name, Walt White, is familiar to most of you because I've spent a lot of time with Metro Fire. But I want to cover three things, which are one, my personal background, two, my professional background, and three, why I believe I would be a fit for this position. So personally, I moved to the Sacramento region in 1987 to accept a job with the American River Fire Protection District, which ultimately became part of Metro Fire. In 1992, my wife and I moved out to the community of Rancho Murrieta, and that's where we raised our children. Over the last 28 years, I've built numerous supportive relationships with our neighbors, whether that's through coaching youth sports or attending community gatherings. I've always been a proponent of public safety, and in 2009, I had the opportunity to lead a community awareness campaign for Measure Q. I spoke at community meetings in support of it and wrote an open letter to the public that 522 paid for its distribution so that no public funds were used on that campaign. Very pleased to say that that passed by a supermajority, even after failing at a previous attempt. That measure brings in hundreds of thousands of dollars annually to support the fire and EMS services and Metro Fire. I can honestly say that we love the community that we live in and have no intentions of moving. And I have thoroughly enjoyed every moment of my career with Metro Fire. So professionally, I've spent the better part of my life working in the fire service. I take pride in having begun my career as a volunteer with the Novato Fire Protection District. I spent more than 27 years of my career with Metro Fire, and that's where I worked my way through the ranks, serving in multiple roles, including Director of Training, Health, and Safety, as well as Paramedic Program Coordinator, Paramedic Internship Program Coordinator. In 2014, I left Metro Fire and I was appointed Fire Chief of the City of Sacramento. That was the first time in the department's history that someone filled the position from outside the organization. So I was met with challenge, change, and growth. Working with a great team We hired over 100 new firefighters, hired and trained to close a staffing deficit. And when we had an issue where I had to immediately pull 6 frontline medics out of service because of exhaust issues, Metro Fire stepped up and supported me and the city of Sacramento with providing us some loaner ambulances. Fortunately, we were also able to get some surge protection and convince the manufacturer to sell us a couple ambulances that were already in development. While there, I worked with 2 city managers, 6 different assistant city managers, 2 different mayors, 12 different council members, 3 different police chiefs, and 3 different metro chiefs during that time. I went from being the new guy to the second most senior department head when I retired in 2018. We were able to add a truck company, add additional full-time and flex medics, add a couple key
Dwight, if
management.
you could wrap up your statement,
Okay.
you are closing in on your time.
Okay, a few key management positions, as well as replace a functionally obsolete fire station. I've worked in an independent special district, a city manager form of government, and I'm currently working in a dependent special district and serve as a director for Fire Districts Association of California. I've had the opportunity to advocate for the fire service at our state and national level, and built relationships with many of our elected local officials. So lastly, why I believe that I would be a fit, well, I think there's essentially 3 questions that you'd like answered tonight. Can I do the job? Would I love the job? And could you tolerate working with me? Well, I think my background and experience answers the first question. The second is I would absolutely love the job. And I think given the opportunity, that you would enjoy working with me, and I would very much look forward to working with you. So in closing, I respect the other candidates and hope to represent their interests. I'm committed to seeking or running for the position in November, and that is why I'm seeking the appointment tonight. And I very much appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. White. Are there any clarifying questions from the other board members or any additional information needed? All right, hearing none, we're going to give a moment to the board members to review your notes and to determine their top 2 candidates. And Board Clerk Pania will call upon the directors, same as order as roll call, to publicly announce their 2 candidate selections. Board Clerk will record these selections and announce the top 2 candidates.
All right, I'll give everyone a few moments before I start going down the roll call order. All right, Director Gould, we will begin with you this evening.
Rosenberg and White.
Thank you very much. And Director Orzali. Director Orzali, I see your microphone is still muted.
Allen and White.
Thank you very much. And Director Wood.
Rosenberg and White.
Thank you. And Director Kelly.
Rosenberg and White.
Thank you. Director Sailors.
Rosenberg and White.
Thank you. Director Clark.
Rosenberg and White.
And Director Jones.
Allen and White.
And Director Sheets.
Allen and White.
All right, with 3 votes, I have Robert Allen. With 5 votes, I have Matt Rosenberg. With 8 votes, I have Walt White, which means Mr. Rosenberg and Mr. White will move on to phase 2.
I'd like to congratulate the successful candidates, and I'd like to thank Mr. Allen for his time during this application and interview process.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward, I'm going to give a moment to allow the candidates and board members to prepare for the question and answer phase. I will invite the first candidate to participate in reverse alphabetical order. I will call upon each board member to ask questions, and this will take approximately 50 to 20 minutes per candidate.
Madam Chair, that was 15 to 20 minutes.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, we will get started. I will invite Mr. White to begin, and Director Gould, we will start with you with the first question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations, Mr. White. I have just one question. Could you describe for me what you believe to be the primary function of an elected member of the Board of Directors of Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District?
Managing expectations.
Okay, can you be more specific?
Yeah. I think ultimately, my expectations of the fire service, whether it's as a board member, a fire chief, or a member of the public are pretty simple. I've got 5 basic expectations: is that they respond quickly, know their job well, treat people with respect, or take precautions and be safe, and are team players. And I think ultimately that labor and management want the same 3 things, which is we want the membership to have rich and rewarding careers. They want them to have the firefighters, our frontline responders, to have the tools and the training that they need to be successful. And they want them to be fairly compensated, not feel forgotten by the taxpayers and citizens they serve. And ultimately, a board member needs to manage the expectations of all groups.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair. That's it.
Director Orzali.
Yes. Chief White, can you expand a little bit on the discussion about the role of special districts in local government?
Sure. The Fire District Act of 1987, when a district is formed, they need to have a board of directors, and that The number can range anywhere from 3 to 11, but it has to be an odd number. The districts, obviously I worked for an independent special district with Metro Fire, but I also currently serve in a dependent special district in Amador County. And why that's a dependent district is we cover 491 square miles, all the unincorporated area of Amador County. And at our formation in 1990, the board of directors had 3 options on how to govern the organization. First, they could appoint a board. Second, they could elect a board. Or third, they could serve as the board. And they chose the latter for the simple reason that they would still have overall budgetary authority. So if they were going to have budget authority, they thought they might as well serve as the governing board. In a special district, you have budgeting authority. A special district operates, a fire chief there operates more like a city manager than like in the city government system, where they don't manage every element of the service they receive. There's the separate HR division and legal division and fleet division. That is all under the responsibility of the fire chief at the direction of the board in a special district.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Wood.
Sorry. Good afternoon. Good evening, Mr. White. I know you've got a lot of experience with Metro and also other agencies, but with respect to Metro, where do you see your biggest weakness or challenge in this role would be in coming from the management and operations side?
Well, perhaps, probably one of my biggest weaknesses has also been one of my biggest strengths. I tend to be a little impatient. I like to see things move forward and get done. I think that, Metro Fire and what the citizens want is really a focus on innovation, infrastructure, and inclusion. And I think that, I've always been impressed by how Metro Fire operates. Having been a part of the consolidation process, I saw how by working together collaboratively, we're definitely a lot more than the sum of our parts, what the previous agencies were. And I think probably my biggest weakness might be managing my own expectations.
Thank you. Director Kelly.
Thank you.
Hello, Chief White. My question for you is, what do you feel is the appropriate role of a member of the board of directors in the day-to-day operations of the fire district?
I'm sorry, Director Kelly, I missed most of that.
Okay, let's try again.
I'd appreciate it.
Sure. What do you feel is the appropriate role of a member of the board of directors in the day-to-day operations of the fire district? Was that better?
Yeah, well, it's pretty much to select a fire chief and let him run the organization. But, we're in a role of, looking out for the interest of our constituents, the public that we serve, and making, being a fiscal watchdog for the organization so that the funding is priority based. And but as far as the day-to-day operations, there's only one fire chief in the room, and that's Chief Harms. And he has been put in that position by the trust of this board, and all of you have been put in your position to make those decisions by the vote, trust, and confidence of the people.
You.
Thank you. Director Sailors.
Good evening, Chief White. What do you think about fire service succession planning and training? And how have you dealt with that in your previous role as a chief of a department?
So one of the things that I would routinely do, and I still do today with my staff, is pretty much whenever possible, which, you know, there's only rare cases when it's not, I take my chief officers to all next level meetings I go to. And I do that primarily for two reasons. One is not only so that they can get exposed to the work at that level, but two is so they can also start building the relationships they will need when they go to the next level, because we're all custodians of these roles. And, you know, I think like a fire chief, their ultimate mission or task is to develop the organization to be successful after them. So I really do firmly believe that cessation is important. Those opportunities have to be fairly and equally distributed. And, you know, that can be a challenge at times, but ultimately, you know, a good leader doesn't create followers, they create more leaders. And I can honestly say that Metro Fire has a track record of doing that. The other day, a colleague and I were formerly from Metro, who's a fire chief elsewhere. We were just off the top of our head naming the number of firefighters that we worked with at Metro Fire that went on to become fire chiefs either there or elsewhere.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Director Clark, you're up next.
Chief White, thank you for coming to the interview. Hope everything's well with you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, so my question is, what do you feel is the appropriate role of a member of the board in the employee relations process? We have a lot of issues with that.
Yeah, you know, I'm a big advocate for the change of command, but, you know, obviously, when it comes to the labor group, that's a little different because, you know, whenever we're discussing issues that affect wages, hours, or working conditions, they absolutely have to have a seat at the table for those discussions. But even in areas of management right, I still think it's a good practice to sit down with your labor group and discuss impacts ahead of major decisions. And, you know, you got to keep in mind that your employees, your workforce, are the most valuable asset you have in your organization, you know, and not only do you want to make sure they feel that they're being treated fairly, but, you know, you want to retain top tier talent. And the best way to do that is to keep communication respectful, informative, and honest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Jones.
Coming. Here we go. Just trying to get everything up for video. I don't have everyone's video up. So hey, welcome, Chief White. Glad to see you here. I have a two-part question. It's a kind of 100,000 view type question. As a board director, how do you see your role in demonstrating leadership amongst the various jurisdictions in our region? For example, we have a number of 2x2s that various directors participate in. The second part is, as a board director, how do you see your role in demonstrating leadership within the district? Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I think those meetings are extraordinarily important. I know probably what you're talking about. One of the 2x2s that I'm familiar with is with the city of Rancho Cordova. I was very fortunate while director training at Metro Fire, or assistant chief at Metro Fire, that I was put in a position to be a liaison with the city of Rancho Cordova. So it was a contract city, and that I was part of that relationship building between the organization and the city. I think as a board member, there's a few expectations on all of us, and one is that we lead by example, that we stay technically and tactically competent, meaning we review and do our homework and make informed decisions. And those decisions should be not just in the best interest of our specific district and constituents, but utilitarian decisions that are in the best interest of all parties involved.
Thank you.
The last question that I'll ask is there anything which we have not covered which would help us in better evaluation of you as a potential member of the board of directors?
I would say that, a big part of my motivation is a genuine interest to serve in this role, and a love for the organization. I would be absolutely humbled and honored to not only represent my community, but to more or less capstone my career at Metro Fire in the role of board of director.
Thank you, sir. All right, I would like to invite Mr. Rosenberg to the same process. I'm going to call upon each of the board members to ask a question. This will approximately take 15 to 20 minutes, and we will go in the roll call order. Rabbi Rosenberg, I will have Director Gould start off the interview.
Thank you.
Rabbi Rosenberg, I have a question for you. You describe for me what you believe is the single most, or the primary function that an elected board member serves at Metro Fire.
Well, having been on boards of directors before, I feel like the most important role is governance, providing the chief executive, fire chief, a strategic plan and a budget to go forth and carry out his or her duties. And the board and a director takes a 30,000-foot view of the organization and learns about that organization, and then makes decisions in consultation with the rest of the board as to what the best path is towards the mission, values, and goals of the organization.
Okay, thank you. And then I have one additional question. Might you, given your experience, might you provide us with one example of when your role as a director has come into conflict with the functions of the CEO?
Well, I'm the immediate past president of an organization now that has suffered already because of coronavirus. And we had to make difficult decisions and ended up not only letting our executive director go as a cost-cutting move in order to mothball the organization temporarily, but also asked the senior staff to take a 20% pay cut. And certainly the executive did not want to go down that route, but myself and the other executive committee members felt like the executive committee could support the senior staff while the organization is kind of on ice during this time where we can't go out and do disaster relief work because of COVID, and fundraising has basically ceased because of COVID as well. So that was a challenging decision that we had to make very recently.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Director Orzali.
Yes. Could you describe to us your understanding of the role of special districts in local government?
I think that special districts play a very important role. Special districts can focus on becoming experts and providers of very skilled services, especially in the case of a fire district that provides fire protection and life safety for its citizens, where that doesn't have to be provided by the county. The county doesn't have to specialize in that. Our contract cities don't have to specialize, and we can provide amazing service and focus on fire protection and emergency medical services so that other government entities don't have to. So I feel like special districts, especially fire districts, provide a very important role for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Wood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rabbi Rosenberg, welcome. Good evening. Just wanted to follow up. Your qualifications are impressive. You've got some significant background comparable to this role. But stepping into this role, what do you see would be your biggest weakness or your challenge that you'd have to overcome?
Well, I think I'd have to learn all about the district, and I would want to go on I'm a good listener as a rabbi, and I want to go on a listening tour of Division 9 and meet the line staff at the stations and hear what their challenges are and meet my constituents and learn everything I could as quickly as possible, especially with the limited time period that this position is serving until the next election. So I'd hit the ground running. My semester is just about to end at Sac State and Cosumnes, and I'm ready to listen and learn and fulfill my role as a director.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Director Kelly.
Yes, Mr. Rosenberg, thank you for being here. What do you feel is the appropriate role of a member of the board of directors in the day-to-day operations of the fire district?
Well, I believe the board, the directors of the board are providing governance. We take a broad view of the organization, and our role is not a day-to-day role. It's at the regular meetings to do our homework, to read through the board packet, know what's going on, ask the board clerk any questions, find out from the chief what's going on, talk to our constituents as well as the frontline workers, and put all that together and provide oversight, but not day-to-day operations. However, I'm willing to represent the district and serve in any kind of community liaison capacity that's necessary, and I'll serve in whatever role I'm asked to do on a day-to-day basis. But I think it's more the 30,000-foot view of the organization is the role of the board of directors.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Director Sailors.
Director Sailors, you are muted. Sorry.
There, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes.
Clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Rabbi Rosenberg, I'm sorry about that. You stated that you wanted to hit the ground running and learn about the fire district and specifically your District 9. And so my question to you is, are you able to do that on your own, or would you have expectations that someone from the fire district would help you learn about the district? And if so, how would that look to you?
I'd want to follow whatever precedent had been established before in getting directors up to speed in terms of learning about the district. So I would take the lead of my fellow directors as well as the staff in figuring out how to best navigate that, and willing to take any and all advice. So either doing it on my own or doing it in collaboration with staff or other directors. I would be open to all that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Director Clark.
Yes, Rabbi Rosenberg, thank you for coming to this interview. And I'm just glad to have you here.
Thank you,
So
sir.
my question to you is, what do you feel is the appropriate role of a member of the board of directors in the employer-employee relations process?
Well, again, I want to go on a listening tour and learn what the line staff have to say, and then also find out from the chief and administration what's going on. I just want to do my homework. I want to learn. I want to talk to my fellow directors and make decisions for in the best interest of the financial health and long-term well-being of the district.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Director Jones.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Rabbi Rosenberg. Thank you so much for being here. We all greatly appreciate everyone's participation. I have a two-part question. As a board director, how do you see your role in demonstrating leadership amongst the various jurisdictions in our region? One example, our 2x2 meetings that we have established. The second part is, as a board director, how do you see your role in demonstrating leadership within the district?
Well, I'd be thrilled to participate in 2x2s and any other opportunity to represent the district to external entities. Within the district, I would want to follow the lead of my fellow directors and the staff in terms of whatever I can do to help promote the district. Some things that I've thought of and noticed as a watcher of the district are, I think there's tremendous opportunity for public engagement. Especially in times right now with the stay-at-home order. I've seen other departments do incredible work in terms of videos and multimedia, and I saw in the annual report that there's a plan to build a video studio at headquarters, and I think that's a great idea. I think I come from a marketing background as well, and I think Metro Fire's off to a good start on social media, but I think there's a lot more we can do to educate the citizens of our district about fire safety. I've heard that there's been a lot more house fires during the stay-at-home order, and I'd love to see Metro Fire helping keep our citizens safe so those fires don't start through public education. And whatever role I can play to help with that, I would be honored and willing to do.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last question, is there anything which we have not covered which would help us in better evaluation, you as a potential member of the board of directors?
Well, I don't have the fire service background of the chief, but I have a lot of board experience and executive experience, and I've been on both sides of the table and in several nonprofit boards. And I think I bring a fresh perspective. Again, I want to listen and find out everything I can about my division and the district as a whole. I'm an eager learner and willing to take the time to be an active volunteer in the community. And so thank you for having me here tonight.
Thank you, sir. All right, at the second phase, I'm going to ask for a nomination, and the nomination will require a second. I'll give you some time to read over your questions, make a decision.
This is Director Kelly, and I would make a motion to support Rabbi Rosenberg as the Director of Division 9.
This is Director Clark. I second.
Great. At this time, we have a first and a second. Ms. Pania, will you please call the roll?
Director Gould.
No.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your vote?
No.
Borzali,
No.
Wood,
No.
Kelly,
Aye.
Taylors,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Jones,
No.
Sheets,
No.
motion does not pass.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we nominate Mr. Walt White.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. Chair, will you please, or Madam Clerk, will you please?
Yes, Director Gould,
Aye.
Borzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Nay.
Taylors,
Nay.
Clark,
Nope.
Jones,
Aye.
and Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the candidates who are participating in this time. And I would like to welcome Director White and Fire Chief will administer the oath of office.
Congratulations, Director White. Are you ready?
Thank you, Chief Harms.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Please repeat after me. I, Walt White, do solemnly swear
I, Walt White, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution to the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservations
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I look forward to working with everybody and also reaching out to Rabbi and Rob Allen and seeing how I can represent their interests as well. I'm absolutely honored and humbled to have this opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on to the reports. President's report. I have nothing to report. Moving on to the fire chief's report. Chief Harms.
I have just a few things to go over tonight. It's been a long board meeting. Chief Bridge will talk about it more, but our call volume has gone up. I'd just like to say quickly about our great membership. Our membership has done just a tremendous job of adapting to the current environment and have been just anything we've asked them to do, they've been able to do it. As far as management and on our leadership side, through the leadership, we continue to make sure we have clear communications out to the troops, make sure that our decisions that we're making are strong decisions, clear and consistent direction to the membership, And probably the biggest thing that we're looking at now is what's next. And I know that there has been a lot of talk, whether it's at different levels within the state of what is next. Really for us, we look at our guidelines from public health, county OES, and the state OES. I feel that we're in a very good position. I don't feel that as an organization, I'm rushed to do one thing or another. Our priority from the very beginning has always been to be able to provide the best service as we can with the support of our professional staff, and we've been able to do that. And I feel that, even as we go into May, we're still in a really good position for being able to support our mission as we move forward. And during this time, it's one of those things that I really don't feel that we have to rush to make any decisions out there. As always, this past 2 weeks has been just very busy with meetings. The other fire chiefs in the region, along with a lot of stakeholders, have been just really good in supporting us and our ability to support them out there. That ends my report for tonight, unless any of you have any questions.
Are there any questions from the directors? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the operations report. Deputy Chief Bridge.
Good evening, directors and President Sheets. Eric Bridge here, Deputy Chief Operations. My report I'll try to keep as brief as possible as well. I just want to keep you current with the current stats and the trends. They've been holding steady up until the last 2 days as our call volume since March 19th of the stay-at-home order was provided by the public health officer. We've dropped about 25% of our call volume. However, with that said, the last 2 days, we've seen our normal numbers prior to that. 2 days ago, we had about 275 calls in the district, and yesterday, we had about 250 calls. So that's been our normal areas, been between 250 to 300 calls a day in our district. So the last 2 days have been holding that number. And then switching gears over to staying consistent with the need to keep our medical personnel trained. When this stay-at-home shelter was put in place back on March 19th, we weren't sure where this thing was headed. So we took the opportunity to keep our members safe, and we restricted all of our outside training and outside personnel coming into the district. Since then, we've realized that there is a strong need and a desire to keep our medical professional students trained and on pace with bringing them into our district if we have that opportunity. So we have resumed our paramedic internship program, and we have now brought back 8 paramedic students, with a 9th about to board here in the next few days. So I'm happy to report that. They will be following all of the CDC guidance and public health officer guidance, as well as we have been following. And as that whole process has evolved over the last several weeks, we've had guidance that will help keep our members safe and secure, feeling confident that anybody from the outside coming in will be following the same processes that we are. So I'm excited that we're going to be part of that team that keeps our medical professionals trained. And then that transitions into our other medical professionals, and that's our mobile integrated health program, which is more commonly known for the COVID-19 as our community care response units that was put into 4 weeks ago. So as you know, and I'm waking up this other computer here so I can just provide you with some numbers about what tremendous impact that those 4 units have had. To date, the 4 units. So just to recap, 4 weeks ago, we put into service CC 109, otherwise known as Community Care 109. It's our community care response unit that has been staffed with physician assistant Scott Perryman, who's also captains, along with firefighter paramedic Michael Skaggs. They started this program off. First unit to be put in service, second unit to be put in service was one of the response units with the resident physician from the, I believe it was UC Davis, and also it was CC 71 out of Cosumnes Fire District. At that point, there was still more need for these units, and we put a second unit in. Metro Fire did, CC 102. And that one is staffed with a resident physician as well. And then a 4th unit was put into service, staffed by the Sacramento Fire Department. With that said, our total patient encounters that we've had for the 4 weeks is about 265 total patients. Out of those, 78% of them have been swabbed for the COVID-19. Out of those 208 people that we have swabbed for COVID-19, 56 of them have tested positive. That's 27%, 93 negative, 45% negatives. And of all of those, we have had a total of 11 transports, or 4% have been transported to the hospital. Most of the patients have been relatively stable on the assessments. So that's kind of a general overview of where we're at right now with the units. That's kind of our main focus, and our target has been to the skilled nursing and assisted living facilities. We're trying more in that area, as that seems to be where the greater need is, and these requests come from the Sacramento County Public Health Officer. With that said, I'm just trying to pull up the other numbers here. Nope, that covered them. I just want to make sure I had them all. Yeah, that'll resume my report. I'm happy to take any questions. Anybody have anything they'd like to ask?
All right, hearing none, we'll move on to Firefighters Local 522 report. Captain McGoldrick, are you on the line?
Directors and chief and staff. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Walt White on his appointment to the board of directors position for Division 9. I'm looking forward to working with him. I would also like to thank Chief Harms and his staff for the COVID-19 related hardship leave policy. The administrators came to us with that. I'm aware of the concerns expressed tonight at the meeting regarding to limits and oversight. I can also assure the board that the emergency responder personnel at our department are stepping up and maintaining full staffing. Our men and women on the front lines exemplify our core values. And it is, as a 28-year veteran of this department, it's very comforting to me to know that not only the directors, but the administrators have our back. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions or comments for Captain McGoldrick? All right, moving on to committee and delegate reports. The executive committee, I have nothing to report out, and we do not have a meeting set. Communications Center JPA, Chief Shannon.
Approve tonight's consent agenda. We have entered into an MOU with the comm center to occupy some space in the upstairs at our headquarters, and that will be used as their disaster recovery site. So with that passing tonight, I've talked with Chief Wagman, and they will be moving in and moving their equipment probably within the next week. Second item is that the academy, or new academy, dispatcher will be starting May 4th with 8 new recruits. And they're looking forward to that. Thank you. Under report.
Great. Are there any questions or comments for Chief Shannon? All right. Hearing none. California Fire Rescue Training JPA.
Just 2 comments, or 1 comment. With that being said, we've done the training JPA has completely now moved out of Armstrong. They will be occupying 3121 Gold Canal for the near future. Other than that, we have not met for some time. We will meet again on June 18th at 4 o'clock. I'm assuming it will be now over at 3121 Gold Canal. End of report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Chief Shannon? Thank you for your report. Moving on to the Finance and Audit Committee, Director Rosali.
Finance and Audit Committee has not met, and our next meeting is to be determined.
Thank you. Policy Committee, Director.
No report.
All right. We will move. I'm sorry, for clarification, do I need to report on closed session now or after board member questions and comments?
Your choice.
Yeah, you're welcome to report now. I'm looking to make sure John Lavra is still on with us. He was having some technical difficulties. John, are you there?
I can see myself. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Yes, this is the report out from the closed session. The board met in closed session under Government Code Section 54956.9 to consider the workers' compensation claim related to employee John Carr. The board voted unanimously to give authority to its third-party administrator to effectuate a settlement of that workers' compensation claim. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to board member questions and comments. We will start off with Director White.
Once again, I would just like to say that I truly appreciate the trust, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. I know we're heading into some very challenging times where some hard or difficult decisions will need to probably be made, and I look forward to working with this team collectively to make the best decisions we can. So thank you again.
Thank you. Director Jones.
Coming up, here we are. Thank you, Madam President. I would like to, two items. One, I would like to thank each and every candidate for Division 9 for participating tonight, and to remind them, as well as anyone else in Division 9, that this is a relatively short-term appointment, and there is an election in November. So again, one, congratulations, Walt. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you on board. And again, a strong thank you to our other two candidates. Reiterating something that Walt said, we have to get through this pandemic step by step, today, tomorrow, the next day. But we do, and we need to keep our eye out on the future, because there's going to be at some point where we're going to have to address some long-term issues. We will do this collectively and constructively. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Jones. Director Clark.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate Director White on his appointment. Welcome to the board. We'll be more than glad to work with you on anything that comes up. I also want to thank the staff and the IT department for a good job, connecting all of us and making sure that this meeting is carried out in a professional manner. Last thing I want to say is stay safe and continue to be well.
Thank you, Director Clark. Director Wood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Like Director Clark just said, I think recognition needs to be given to Melissa, to Arthur, and his staff to make sure that this process did go through and has been going through very well these last several meetings. So thank you to all you guys who do that and make us actually look good. To Mr. Allen and Rabbi Rosenberg, appreciate their time and their energy spent in putting in for the position, and congratulations to Director White. And one last thing, I just again want to recognize all the work that went into getting our community care responders together. I think everyone that's been working on that for these last 5-6 years that I know of, that I can recall, deserves to be commended, and it's wonderful to see those outgoing, and I appreciate the update, Chief Brage. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director Wood. Director Rosali.
Yes. Thank you. I want to congratulate Chief White on his joining the board. I look forward to working with him, and I truly appreciate Mr. Allen and Rabbi Rosenberg's application. When you look at the quality of people, the people of purpose who apply for these positions, it is important that the community recognize the kind of people who are attracted to do this, people who make a difference in their community. And I have great respect for everyone that applied. I also want to thank Melissa and Arthur Hong for their efforts. Arthur in particular spent 104% of his work week talking to me on the phone, trying to make it possible for me to have this conversation. So thank you to everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Rosali. Director Gould.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Like my colleagues have said, welcome, Director White. We look forward to your working with us and bringing a unique perspective to the board. I also want to thank our president for her leadership in making this happen in a very difficult time. It was hard enough, I think, being the leader of the board when we could meet face to face. This just adds another layer of difficulty to try to make it as transparent as possible. And I think you've done a great job in that regard. And Melissa and all the other support staff, thank you very much for your help. And like my colleagues have said, I particularly want to call out and thank the candidates that presented their themselves tonight to this board. I agree completely with what Randy just said, that as you look at these resumes, it becomes abundantly clear that we are attracting to this board some very high quality individuals, which just makes our job even that much more difficult when it comes time for appointment. But with that said, I want to make sure that we thank all of our men and women for the work that they're doing and putting themselves at risk every day. I hope that they stay safe, and if there's anything they need and is within our opportunities to help support, I hope that they reach out to us in this no contact, stay at home craziness, so that we can continue to function in our roles. So thank you very much, Madam Chair, and stay safe.
Thank you, Director Gould. Director Sailors.
I just would like to congratulate Chief White on his election tonight and welcome him to the team. I think he will be a great addition. And thank you everyone for their hard work to make this meeting possible. And thank you, President Sheets. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Sailors. Director Kelly.
Yes, my thanks to the great work of the IT department to make sure I was up and running tonight. And I'd like to thank the individuals that applied for the position tonight, Mr. Allen, Rabbi Rosenberg, and I'd like to congratulate Mr. White. Look forward to working with you. You bring a great breadth of experience to this board. I would like to thank the district, notably Mr. Casantini, for his presentation on the COVID-19 related leave policy. I think that's an important thing for the members that are working for this district. Certainly the people that work for this district need to know that somebody has their back should they catch the bug. Anyhow, I appreciate everybody's work tonight, and certainly the appreciation for our board president has been conveyed. I would like to convey it as well. I hope that everybody is staying safe and relaxing and enjoying a bit of downtime with the COVID-19 quarantine restrictions. Everybody have a nice day. I look forward to the day that we can all get together again once again. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to thank everybody for their participation tonight. Our IT department is fantastic, and they have been wonderful in making sure that this is a very professional way of handling our meetings in this unprecedented time. I'd also like to thank all of the candidates who made it very, very difficult to make a decision tonight, but I do want to welcome Director White and to want to say, please be safe out there. And I just, I feel very privileged to be in the position that I'm in and supporting our community, and just want to thank you. With that, our meeting is going to be adjourned, and our next board meeting will be May 14th at 6 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.